stadiums, but you'll be amazed what they can do on a small arena floor. The Superstars invade Knoxville, Tennessee, and it is going to be an intense competition. It's coming up next, right here on Monster Jam.
Who's ready for Monster Jam? Hold on, baby! Here goes the camper!
Welcome to a special edition of Monster Jam. I'm Scott Douglas, and so often on Monster Jam, we're able to bring you the biggest stadiums and all the huge air. But you know, Monster Jam competitions are in all different types of arenas and racetracks and stadiums all over the world. So this week, we are going to look at competition like this. It's called a Thunder National. You'll notice no dirt, a small floor, but big excitement as the Barbarian will get us started. Devin Jones, one of the new stars in Monster Jam, competing in what's called the Sky Wheelie competition. Here you look at the highlights. The intent of the Sky Wheelie is to stick that nose of the truck straight up in the air if you can get the job done. And indeed, it is a competition that we see and that the fans love right here in a small Thunder National type format. Now here's Dan Evans, who drives Destroyer in the U.S. and Jetix in the events in Europe. And Dan is a strong score right there with his wheelie at 15, but the Barbarian still 1 point better. Now Bruce Haney, who's one of the best in the Thunder National type of format, competing in these small arenas. In his truck that's called Bad News Travels Fast, he'll be strong in the donut competition. We're going to show you a little bit later. But right here, he takes the lead. His wheelie score from the 3 judges is a 1930, is the best you can do. Now one of the big stories of the year, the return to Monster Jam of former world champion Medusa, and she nails a beautiful first Sky Wheelie. Now she'll come to the blue lane for her second try, and she does it again. Very strong performance, but it's not enough to get the lead. Medusa, with a score of 18, will be in second place behind Bad News. Now, Lee O'Donnell taking over this week in the El Toro Loco ride. Comes up with a strong run right there, and El Toro will have another shot. We'll look at the second Sky Wheelie in the wheelie contest for El Toro Loco. And now it's up to the judges. He will take the lead. El Toro Loco, with a score of 24, moved into the number 1 spot. Well, Darren Mingus, who drives the second Bounty Hunter truck for team owner Jimmy Cretin, brings the Bounty Hunter into Knoxville, Tennessee, and he will now go to the donut competition later after trying to win wheelies in this Thunder National format. His score, though, just an 18, and we have El Toro Loco continuing to be into the number 1 spot. Now it's Randy Moore, and the War Wizard, look at that, he launches it. That's a beautiful job from Randy Moore and the War Wizard, and he does it again, and the scores are going to be equal, so they go to a 4th judge, a tiebreaker judge. All that judge does is pick the winner. He says War Wizard gets the victory, taking it again in the tiebreaker over El Toro Loco. Now the next Thunder National competition is the donut competition. And this is one the fans really love, as so many of these trucks could do some great donuts on a concrete floor like this. Barbarian got a little close to the out-of-bounds marker, so he was unable to really get a good set going. But that's now the donut to beat from the Barbarian. Here's Bounty Hunter, Darren Mingus. Pretty good, solid shot of the donuts right there, but once again, getting a little close to the edge. They will, I believe, let him have another shot towards the center of the floor. But Darren Mingus and the Bounty Hunter looking to get, again, a victory here. And, of course, if you're more familiar seeing Jimmy Cretin in the Bounty Hunter truck, this is the second Bounty Hunter. The truck has become so popular that on many weeks when Cretin's running in one event, Darren Mingus will go to another, and Mingus gets a donut score of 16. Well, next, let's look at Medusa, who's always been strong in this competition. Now it's a new truck and a new team for the former 2-time world champion. A little bit of a start. She can still hit him again, and she's going to do just that. So Medusa in the donut competition, and here she goes. Wow, no doubt the best donuts of the night so far. Medusa's going to take the lead, no doubt about that. And a huge score of 28 out of a possible 30 for Medusa. Now it's Randy Moore and the War Wizard. We'll take another shot at it right here. Randy Moore out of Bristol, Tennessee, close to his home here in Knoxville. Pretty good-looking donuts right there, but not quite the speed that Medusa carried. It may not be enough. He's trying to last it out a little bit longer. But Randy Moore and the War Wizard doing a nice job. But again, it's up to that three-judge panel as Randy Moore wraps up his donuts. And we're just now getting to see the scores that are popping up. It'll be a score of 27. Medusa's your winner. She was Sarah Daly.
Here in Knoxville, Medusa's back in the truck. She had a solid donut contest performance. Freestyle's going on behind us. How'd you feel out there?
Solid donut, solid wheelie, whatever it takes, I'm gonna win.
So Medusa wins donuts, but we're going to go round by round, racing bracket action. You can see how fired up the fans are in Knoxville, Tennessee, in a very small arena for an exciting Thunder National style show. So now here's the race bracket with this field coming up, 7 trucks. So Randy Moore, because he won the wheelie competition, gets a first round bye and was able to automatically advance into round 2. So now we go side by side racing on a straight line course, a course that's all about reaction time and horsepower. And Bounty Hunter and Medusa go at it, and Medusa able to get that extra horsepower, gets across the finish line first. You can see Medusa, as we take a look at the highlights, got beat off the line, but she got the better shot going over the cars, and she will cross about half a wheel length in front of the Bounty Hunter. Again, these short, straight line courses mean it's all about power, and going to be very close races throughout. Devin Jones and the Barbarian takes on Bad News and Bruce Haney at the top of the screen, and Haney will be able to get the win. Bad News, again, who is kind of a specialist in these smaller arenas and the Thunder Nationals format. And Haney just rolled off the line beautifully, kept his truck low, which can be a key here on a short course. You don't want to get too much air and get the nose of that truck moving straight up rather than forward. Now Lee O'Donnell and El Toro Loco, top of the screen. Dan Evans and Destroyer, bottom of the screen. Lee O'Donnell, a little off-road racer, is going to be very tough to beat here. Look at this, they almost come together. Wow, both drivers able to pull out nice saves, or that was going to be a huge collision. Watch it from the end zone, and it's Lee O'Donnell who kind of comes toward the center, but Dan Evans straightens his up, and then O'Donnell able to just stay off of Dan Evans and Destroyer, and El Toro gets the victory, again, because he did not come out of his lane until after the finish line, so there's no penalty against El Toro Loco. So that sets up our semifinals. Top bracket, War Wizard going up against Medusa, then Bad News and El Toro Loco. The 2 winners of these next 2 races will make it into the finals and compete in the championship race. Well, this should be a dandy race right here. Randy Moore and War Wizard taking on Medusa. Great start off the line for Medusa. She really didn't spin the wheels, which is tough on this concrete not to do. And she kept her truck low. Watch it. She just keeps a much lower profile. You see the nose of War Wizard go way up in the air, and that sealed Randy Moore's fate. Medusa is going into the finals. So it's a big night so far for the former 2-time Monster Jam Freestyle champion and racing champion who has taken a couple of years off, but now she's back in action. Now here is El Toro Loco getting a bye run into the championship round. So some breakage. Again, the crew's having to thrash on the trucks to get them ready to go competition after competition. Wheelies, right to donuts, right to racing. And so El Toro ends up with a bye into the championship race. So that's going to set up what should be a dandy battle. 2 trucks that have won Monster Jam World Championships before. Again, as I said, Medusa has won 2 world titles, one in racing, one in freestyle, and the El Toro team, with Lupe Sosa behind the wheel, has also grabbed the world championship. Well, tonight, it is going to be Lee O'Donnell trying to get a racing victory for the El Toro team, going up against former world champion Medusa. This is the championship race of the night. They come off the line together. Nice job by Lee O'Donnell. He kept the nose low, and El Toro Loco defeats Medusa to grab the racing victory. Let's get one more look at it on the replay. Great job, and you can see a little better reaction time for Lee O'Donnell, and then a better line as he keeps the nose low. He's your winner. Lee O'Donnell is standing by with our Sarah Daly. Sarah, take it away.
Taking the racing title here in Knoxville, Lee O'Donnell and El Toro Loco. In the pit party, you sounded pretty confident. It came through. How'd you feel?
Awesome. You know, I got a great crew. You know, they worked really hard on the truck last night till I think we were here till 1 or 2 in the morning. And, you know, I owe it to them. I owe it to the fans here in Knoxville to put on a good show and just lay the smack down. That's how it is.
Smack talk already. You still got freestyle to go. You going to double down tonight?
I think we're going to give it a try. You know, the horns have been on this truck for 2 weekends now, and it's really not El Toro's style to leave the horns on that long. So we'll see what happens.
Horns on, horns off. It's about time to get down and dirty. We'll see what happens in freestyle.
All right, Sarah, we're going to do just that. Thank you very much. Congratulations to Lee O'Donnell, and now we're going in to the freestyle competition. And here's a guy to keep your eye on because he knows how to handle a Monster Jam truck in this smaller facility than a lot of you fans are used to seeing if you just follow the events on television where we show you mostly the stadium and dome events. This time we're giving you another look at what Monster Jam is all about. So many of the great events all over the world are contested in smaller arena floors in this Thunder National style format. Well, one of the best at competing on it is this guy, Bruce Haney. Bad News, actually the full name of the truck, Bad News Travels Fast, for the driver from Florida. And Bruce Haney has had some stadium experience, but for the most part, his biggest wins and biggest successes have come in Thunder National racing, freestyling, donut competition, and the wheelies, as you've seen in this jam-packed, action-packed format. One of the reasons the fans just love this style of an event so much is because, again, you get to see the trucks when you come to a Thunder National style of event compete in 4 separate disciplines. They try to win wheelies, they try to win donuts, they try to win racing, and then as always, wrap it up with freestyle competition. Bruce Haney doing a nice job, and again, one of the things about the Thunder National style, it's such an intimate setting. The fans can really just almost kind of feel the thunder up close to the superstars of Monster Jam. Again, the time clock ticking down, and Haney will attempt to fill the clock. That's one of the things the judges look for. If you stop and leave any time ticking on the clock, well, the judges will deduct. A 3-judge panel. Each judge can offer up to 10 points, so the best score that we'll see would be a score of 30 if Bruce Haney is able to come through and fill the time clock. As Haney will get his scores right now and gets a big salute from the fans in Knoxville, Tennessee, as they certainly love the performance. The score for Bad News, and this will be the score to beat, is a score of 21. The Thompson Bowling Arena, campus of the University of Tennessee in Knoxville, Tennessee. It's freestyle time in Thunder National Monster Jam competition, and one of the newest drivers and trucks on the circuit is on the track now. That's Devin Jones, driver from Miami, Oklahoma, in a truck that he calls the Barbarian, Ford Super Duty. Jones has impressed a lot of people as a newcomer to the sport. He certainly has not taken a backseat to any of the big guns. Has been very impressive in competitions, and he has also already been getting some opportunities to even come up on some of the bigger floors. But here in the Thunder National area, he's getting a great start, getting some valuable seat time, and learning how to come up with the freestyle moves it takes to impress the judges. Again, Devin Jones with a very, very hot-looking Ford Super Duty in this Thunder National competition at the University of Tennessee. Now, he will continue to get some good air. Nice job in the positioning on that sky wheelie. So Devin Jones and the Barbarian, we get a look at the highlights, and you can see the scores from the 3-judge panel will total up to 17. Not good enough to get the lead away from Bruce Haney, and Bad News Travels Fast, but you can see a couple of dandy leaps right there. Well, now, Dan Evans, the veteran of Monster Jam for close to a couple of decades. And of course, he is one of the best known drivers in the sport in the United States. He campaigns the Destroyer. We'll see him again at this year's NGK Sparkplugs World Finals. And of course, he's expected to be back on the European Tour driving the Jetix truck that he has had so much success with, running in events all over the European continent. Dan Evans and Destroyer. Now let's see what Dan does here. One thing to watch for, I'm not sure if he'll pull it out here in the Thunder Nationals, but Dan is one of the few drivers who will do a move in reverse, and that may be what he's setting up right here. Nothing's going to swing it around. But Dan can do a move in reverse, which might really separate him from the field if he does it here. But this is a solid run, lots of momentum. Again, one of the things when you're on the smaller floor that the judges want to see is if you can keep the momentum up. Now this could be the reverse move right here. Yep, Dan is setting it up. He is going to hit a move in reverse, something very rare in Monster Jam. Yeah, he was kind of teasing the fans, and here it comes. Dan Evans over the cars in reverse, and the judges are going to love that, folks. What a way to wrap it up. Great job by Dan Evans. Yeah, he kind of says, what do you think, fans? Well, the judges loved it, as the fans did as well. A 25. So Dan Evans will blast into the lead, and the Destroyer now has the #1 spot in this freestyle competition. But he has got some big talent coming after him, including a former world freestyle champion in Medusa. Interesting to see how Medusa is kind of getting her program back together. It was just a few weeks ago that she decided to come out of Monster Jam retirement. She had gotten off the circuit for a couple of years after winning the World Freestyle Championship in 2004 and then coming up in 2005 and taking the World Racing Championship. She's been away from Monster Jam for a couple of years. So while she is back and the truck may look the same, it is a totally new team. The truck is new. Her crew chief is new, someone she's never worked before. She had to put together a brand new team to get back into Monster Jam, and it's a growing pain situation. They're just going to have to be able to spend some time together and get that team chemistry going. But she has certainly looked good here in Knoxville tonight. Earlier, of course, we saw her win one of the competitions, and then she was strong in racing, making it to the championship round as well. The question is, can she get the freestyle win? She's going to have to come up with something big, because Dan Evans gave the judges something no one else has done with that reverse move, and then kind of put him in a class of his own. And a big score of 25 for Destroyer is going to be tough for Medusa to beat. Again, trying to finish the run up with some momentum and getting some nice air coming over the racing lanes. But the time is winding down on the former two-time world champion. Indeed, she will get a score of 20, so she'll go into second place, but not enough to take the lead away from Dan Evans and Destroyer. As we look at the highlights from Medusa's return to Monster Jam, something that fans and competitors alike are thrilled to have her back. Again, a talent like that, you hate seeing her sit on the sidelines. It's great to have Medusa back in competition. Well, you saw Lee O'Donnell racing in El Toro Loco, and now he is back on the track to try and do it again in freestyle. Lee O'Donnell, one of these drivers who has been mostly campaigning Monster Mutt this year. We've seen O'Donnell kind of be in the shadows of some of the bigger names, but he's always been ready. And over the last couple of years in televised events, in different situations, he's been called upon often at the last minute to substitute for another driver in one of the bigger name trucks. And most recently, he accomplished that by getting a victory in 2008 when Lindsey Wink had to do another appearance for his corporate sponsor in Ford. And in Atlanta, Georgia, the popular Georgia Dome, it was Lee O'Donnell who actually substituted and drove Blue Thunder to the racing victory in that huge event. And again, we bring that point up because he's been driving Monster Mutt most of this year, but at the last minute, they needed to fill in to be able to take over the El Toro Loco ride because of some other situations with Lupe Sosa and some other commitments for Lupe. And so indeed, Lee O'Donnell is here, and as he normally does, he has performed well. He's already won racing and doing a nice job in the freestyle competition, but it's not going to be enough to grab the victory, as Dan Evans, with that score of 25, is going to be tough to beat. El Toro Loco will go into second place with a score of 21, but the Destroyer is still in the lead. The fans are on their feet as the freestyle continues in Knoxville, Tennessee, and we're thrilled you're here to be a part of this special edition of Monster Jam Television, showing you what it's like when the Monster Jam superstars do battle on a smaller arena floor. And you can see what a great show they put on, whether it's a big stadium or an awesome arena like they had to work with here in Knoxville, Tennessee. And a nice slap wheelie to get started for Randy Moore and the War Wizard. So often we see drivers able to step their games up when they're in their home state. Well, Randy would be the guy who qualifies here from Bristol, Tennessee, not that far down the road from where we're at tonight in Knoxville, Tennessee. The score to beat, though, is a good one. It's a 25 from Dan Evans and Destroyer, although Randy Moore is really hammering that throttle, getting some nice sweet air, and has already hit a nice slap wheelie. So again, the judges really in these kind of international competitions will really give you an extra bonus in their minds, at least, when they look at drivers who can do something no one else does, and that's the advantage really that Dan Evans has right now. And Randy Moore kind of looking for his niche as well in the War Wizard. He calls that body style, if you were wondering, a futuristic Willys. He started with a 1941 Willys body style and then just kind of modernized it. And again, the War Wizard looks as hot as any truck in the world. Randy Moore popular here in his home state. But again, not quite enough to get the lead. He'll fall 1 point short. A 24 for War Wizard puts him into second place behind the Destroyer. And Dan Evans starting to close in. I'm sure he can really taste that possible championship victory coming up. But another tough hombre is still to go, and that's the bounty hunter. Here's Darren Mingus racing for the 2 Extreme team that Jimmy Cretin owns, and of course includes not only Bounty Hunter, but the Iron Outlaw competing this season on the tour as well. And so with 2 Bounty Hunter trucks, when Jimmy Cretin's in one city, on that same night, Darren Mingus is in another. This week, Darren Mingus thrilling the fans in the Bounty Hunter, racing and freestyling now here in Knoxville, Tennessee. Now, Darren Mingus, again, is a driver somewhat new to Monster Jam, but he's really picked it up very quickly. And again, one of the things about the Bounty Hunter team and the 2 Extreme team in general is they build some of the biggest, most powerful engines. A lot of people believe they run close to 2,000 horsepower in the Bounty Hunter trucks. Well, you can obviously see that you can't use 2,000 horsepower in an arena this size. So a lot of this is about Darren getting a feel for how much power he can use, where to really hit that throttle hard to be able to make the moves and then still get the truck shut down in the confines that he has to work with. And right now, he's having a little problem adapting to the concrete. He's really slipping and sliding a lot. We haven't seen that from a lot of the other trucks, but everybody uses a different way they cut the tires. And these tires, as you can see on the Bounty Hunter, may be a little bit slicker with a little less tread than some others. He's really slipping around, but that can help him in donuts. And he is able to get a pretty good set of donuts in. However, not quite enough to be able to come away with the victory. Darren Mingus getting a nice hand from the fans here in Knoxville, Tennessee. We're going to look at a highlight from the Bounty Hunter in action as Mingus able to come over and kind of give him that nice little sky wheelie with a little tilt in the air. And he'll tie for second with a score of 24. So the judges did like his performance, but Dan Evans continues to have the top score, and he is going to be the man hauling out the championship trophy. So a very, very competitive, tight competition, a tie for second, but everybody wants to be number one. And on this night, the guy who is number one is Dan Evans in Destroyer. He's standing by with Sarah Daly.
Taking Knoxville Freestyle, Dan Evans and Destroyer. You had a straight run of 8 tonight. You looked good out there. How'd it feel?
I felt really good. You know, I feel sorry for other drivers. Track got a little bit slippery. They didn't get to do what they wanted, but with a field of trucks like this, I'll take the win.
Now with this truck out here, you also have a different setup being in an arena versus non-dirt. What does that do for you when you decide what you want to do for your run?
We set the truck up a little bit different for these type of tracks. We put more air in the tires, get a better bounce out of them, and sometimes we even do a couple little tricks of putting some stick on the tires to make it stick better. But these are a real fun show. We love doing them. I grew up doing Thunder Nationals, and cement's great. It's not bad at all.
Well, congratulations. Dan Evans, your freestyle winner here in Knoxville.
Thanks, Sarah. Congratulations to Dan Evans, and again, one of the most popular drivers in the sport, Dan Evans in Destroyer. Whoa, we've seen so much action. That's what you get with Thunder Nationals. Let's look back. Earlier, remember, War Wizard and El Toro Loco actually tied for the win in the wheelie competition, the tie-breaking judge giving the nod to the War Wizard. But in the donuts, it was Medusa and War Wizard in a real tight battle, and it was Medusa able to eke out the 1-point victory to win that competition. Then in the freestyle, the Destroyer able to get that 1-point better advantage over the Bounty Hunter and the War Wizard. You get a look at the highlights in Knoxville, Tennessee. Dan Evans, who also drives Jetix in Europe, winning and destroyer in freestyle in Knoxville, Tennessee. Well, thanks for joining us for this special edition of Monster Jam Thunder National Style. We'll see you next time.